Hey guys, what is up? It is Angelo from All Real Airsoft, and today I'm going to be doing something pretty cool. I'm going to be talking about airsoft guns. But I'm going to teach you a way, or I should say, tell you a story, which will hopefully not make you lose a lot of money when you first start airsofting. Now, we got to tell a little story, like I said. So, when I was pretty small, okay, not that small, but when I did start airsoft, okay, that's more the age, I did something really stupid that made me, lose a lot of money. So, I'm going to tell you what happened. So, basically, I was around 12 and I started really getting into airsoft, which, there's no problems there. A lot of people know about airsoft, get into airsoft or paintball, but I just chose airsoft. So, I was like, I'm going to spend some of my birthday money. At that time, my parents were like, don't buy video games, don't, waste your money. So I'm like, you know what, I want to get into this sport. Costs a lot of money, but you know what? I'm going to burn some money and hopefully, have a good time out there. So I really, researched my guns and all this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But basically, I picked my first AEG was a $250 extremely complicated Airsoft GI FMG4 assault rifle, or actually it was a carbine, but that was the stupidest thing I could have done with Airsoft. But it didn't stop there, because then, about a year later, when I still haven't gone to any games, I literally would just shoot in my backyard. I had a small collection. I bought a $300 KWA, which you see here. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but here's the problem with airsoft guns. Now, as much as we like to think that they're real guns, they're just not. They aren't they aren't real guns. And a lot of real guns, you can have them for like 10 plus years. They'll be your old reliable shotgun or something like that. But no, they'll be, pretty reliable. You don't have to worry about them as long as you keep them maintained and all that. But, like I said, when I was pretty young, I bought this really fancy AEG, which first I really didn't know how to take it apart. When I would just take off the upper receiver, I thought I am an airsoft god. But basically, that was what was really stupid, and I ended up losing a lot of money on this. Now you're probably thinking, okay, Angelo, how did you lose a lot of money? Well, what happens is, of course, it's now about 4 years since I started playing airsoft. Now, I just recently did trade that FMG A4 Airsoft GI M4 Custom, whatever you want to call it, but I still have that G36C, as you see right here. There's one problem. It's starting to break down. Now, it was made by KWA, and it is a supreme gun. It is one of the best guns I've had, but I admit, I neglected it. About maybe 3 months after I got it, I dropped it and shattered the stock, then ordered the wrong stock from eBike, because it is a G36 Combat, or G36C, and I basically ordered the H&K G36C, like, LMG version, so it wouldn't lock in. So I neglected it, I even painted it, and it looked ugly, and, it had a couple cracks, and that's the problem. Now, I admit, I am a jackass with airsoft, because I did that. But I did do a bunch of other stuff. You get bored with your airsoft guns if you're not taking them to the field and all that stuff. Now, what I'm trying to get across is two things. First, when you get your gun, of course, research. Now, on my FMG4, I did do a lot of research, and for $250, I wasn't disappointed. I just, didn't use it as it was supposed to be used. What I should have done is become a normal airsofter, or gradually go into it, which is basically the main idea of this video, which is when you're joining airsoft, do it gradually. Don't go and do a cannonball into the airsoft pool. That was a stupid representation, but like I said, I spent $600 plus on these two guns, and now, they're not falling apart, but they're old, and I want to basically buy a brand new HK just so it won't, I don't have to worry about problems for at least a year, because now I'm going to the field about every week, and I really am using these guns, but like they're supposed to, I should add. But, like I said, there's already a lot of damage from, just backyard shooting. Because backyard shooting, sometimes you get lazy and you're not aware and you drop the gun or something like that. Where when you're in airsoft, you are in high tense states. I know that sounds really stupid, but you really are careful. You're holding your gun tight. You're usually aware of what you're doing. Where in backyard, you're kind of lazy and you're just, whatever happens, nothing's going to happen to it, but it does do wear and tear on the bucking, the gearbox, and all that stuff. So, one other problem with buying a brand new $400 AEG when you basically have just gotten into the sport is when you go to the field, you're going to look like a complete ass. You're going to basically look like this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's face it. We do not want to be Nick the Noob. No one likes Nick the Noob. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be Nick the Noob. So I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, so basically I'm going to sum it up here, because the video's, getting a little long, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a quick, easy video telling you guys basically why you shouldn't do that. So, why you shouldn't do that. First, what if you don't like Airsoft? You're probably not a human, and you probably are dead inside, but nonetheless, you probably, let's say, don't want to do it. You have school or college or something like that, or a job. Pfft, who needs a job, am I right? No, but anyway, so let's say you want to get out of the sport and you just basically bought this $300 gun, and you're probably going to sell it realistically, some fat guy on eBay for $100. And that's going to suck. You just lost a lot of money, and now you truly do hate the sport, and you probably never will get back into it. Now, with that being said, if you buy, let's say, $150 basic combat machine, honestly, you could probably sell that to a actual field as a rental, because those are like the bread and butter of Airsoft. So you wouldn't lose as much money. And also, the next thing I'm going to talk about is actual parts, compatibility, and reliability. Now, if you do get a $400 gun, I'm not saying it's going to be, irreliable, or it's unreliable, I'm sorry, or it's going to break down and it's going to be a piece of crap. No, basically what I'm saying is it's probably going to be full metal. It's going to be basically like working on a real gun to some extent. Now, you do not want to do that. So, what I advise, yet again, is you buy a simple combat machine, and then all you do is, take off the upper receiver one day, then take apart the hop-up, and just slowly go along, because, for the past month or now, I've actually taken my G&G F2000, and I've slowly taken it apart. Now, it is a unique bullpup rifle, but it is extremely easy to get acquainted with the barrel and hop-up systems. So that's how I did it. I just, one day I took off the upper receiver. The next day I just looked at the hop-up. Then I slowly took the barrel out. Then I undid the hop-up completely and all the buckings, or I shouldn't say buckings, but all the gears. And, I put it together a couple times, and if something goes wrong and you don't see any actual tears, cracks, or whatever, not just in the hop-up, but in anything, it's probably, you just didn't do it right. Something's not tightened, something's not loosened, so don't get discouraged, just do it again. Airsoft takes time. Airsoft is going to be stressful at sometimes. I want to pull my hair out sometimes, I admit, when I, am adjusting the hop-up on my sniper rifle and I have black BBs. Ah! Son of a... No good... Anyway, but the one thing, if you do want to buy besides a gun is buy gear. That stuff can sit for 2 or 3 years and it won't do as nearly as much damage on itself, or, that's a little weird to say, but, it won't break down as fast as a gun because it's clothing and, it's threads instead of mechanical parts and wires that, over time get corroded and, Okay, but basically, you guys get what I'm saying. If you do want to get into the sport, do it gradually. Buy $30 worth of gear here, $30 worth of gear here. And I admit, it's probably going to be more than $30. But get the basics. Then you can probably sell it off cheap to a new beginner player, and then just start slowly upgrading your armory. Because I know, I recently just got a plate carrier, and I still don't know how to use it. But I, get these kids walking up to me, oh my god, your gun is so nice, but they have a better, ACU camo setup than me. And sometimes it is embarrassing because I feel like the Ricer in cars where, he has that Ferrari or, that GTR and then he puts a Chevy badge on it or a fart can exhaust. I'm getting off topic, but basically, just do Airsoft gradually. There's many reasons you might want to jump headfirst into it, but I just don't recommend it. And if you do, really research your gun. Make sure it's going to be simple. Make sure it's, going to have 3 things, which is it's going to have reliability, it's going to be easy to take down or disassemble and assemble, and also that it does have reviews and it is highly rated. So, that's basically it. That's my story. I'm sorry for the lack of Airsoft gameplay, but you know what? I was like, I'm going to do a level cap here, and I'm going to just have some Battlefield 4 gameplay or Battlefield gameplay. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope the audio wasn't too bad. My headphones were kind of making it weird, so I decided to just go with my speakers. So, thank you guys so much for watching.